This boat is not trying to compete with the European brands. She's in a class of her own. So she's a competitor with the Maritimo S60, the Whitehaven 6100 Coupe, and the Sabre Yachts, the 58 Salon Express. But this SUV, it's really a class of its own. SUV, it's American for ute. But what does SUV or ute actually mean for your boat life? And how will this boat elevate your weekends? So welcome to the Goldie, ladies and gentlemen. This is in Queensland if you're watching from America or somewhere else, and it's the home of Riviera. I have been to their factory just yesterday and had a really interesting experience. That's going to be a separate video to this. But this is the 585 SUV. This is probably the first video tour, and because you're watching Dan's Boat Life, my name's Dan Jones, g'day, we're going for a drive. And it's not very nice weather today. It's been raining, it's windy, there's lots of tide. So we're giving you a proper test, which will be a separate video to this one. So keep watching, I'll link to that at the very end of this video. And we're just gonna start from one end and go to the back and then go right through the interior of this boat so you can see if this is something that's gonna elevate your boat life. So 585, 65 feet LOA, 58 feet on the waterline. Lots of boat. She really does feel like a much larger boat, to be fair, because the sides are quite high and the volume is immense when we get downstairs, which we'll do in a sec. Just appreciate this, what we have right here. The amount of space is absolutely immense. You could get the whole party from the bow to the back of the boat to the inside. So what we're achieving on this boat is multiple zones, is the sort of inspiration or the vibe that I'm getting from this boat. So at the moment it's in lounge mode, as you can see, but we can fold out from this port side a bit of a sun lounge setup. And if you pay attention to these stainless bases just here, these are the bases for 4 carbon fiber poles, which then attach to a sunshade. That's the only sunshade you need to erect on this boat, because Riviera are all about practicality. They're really, really good for owner operators, and we'll touch on that later in the video. And so they keep things simple, set up, pack down, and operation of a boat like this is really easy in my observation and now experience. So you've got a passageway out to port, which just makes it easy for people less mobile, because logically there is actually a door just after the helm there on the port side. But what we'll do, I'll just show you guys as we make our way around. Come and have a look. We have fender and rope storage on the port side, so that is moderately sized. And then we have a little esky just forward of that. Look in there, and that's drained, so you can have some chilled drinks up here on the bow. And we've got drink holders behind all the seats as we make our way around. This space here is the only space that we have teak forward. Probably makes sense for our climate. You can do teak all the way around if you're in another country and that's your vibe, but in our country I don't really see the point, because it just creates more maintenance. A couple of hatches down below, we'll see that when we get there. Now, just get all this in shot, and there's a couple of cool things going on. Firstly, which we touched on in the test drive video, the design of the bow allows the anchor to deploy whilst you are in some choppy water, even if there was movement, and she's not going to hit the actual bow itself, because she really protrudes a nice way out front and there's plenty of clearance. So I love that. The stainless steel, we're going to see this right throughout this boat, is top notch, and it's all done in Queensland, in-house. And I'll talk a bit more about that as we make our way through, because I learnt some cool things about that yesterday. So if we look down here, this is deep storage for fenders. So that would be good for a couple of more big fenders, but that is not our only option on the bow. So if you were keeping this boat in Europe and you're doing your med mooring, where you do have to have a lot more fenders, you have possibility to store big ones here, there, and there's another locker just there. Australians, if you're just doing normal marina situation, it might not be of a concern to you. So in here we have our freshwater wash. We got our saltwater wash just here. This is the bow operation of the anchor windlass. That's our winch handle for the clutch just there. And then the windlass itself, pay attention to this design just here. So it's effectively, it's dammed this whole area. So if the chain's coming up in a muddy place and it's all, muddy, you can hose it off and all the muck is going to make its way from here, boom, straight out. Sensible, good thinking, good design. So that's just really practical. Everything is enclosed. And then we've got our safety just here, cleat, multiple cleats here, quite cool looking fair leads just there, and just well done. I like that. A couple of speakers here and here, and I also noticed some more speakers underneath the roof lining, which overhangs the windscreen at the bow. This is the starboard fender locker, but this is bigger because we don't have the walk-through as we do on port side. We can put larger items, and see how we've got the covers for the bow lounges just up here. So kind of makes sense to have them there. These are all drained as well. Next thing, so I saw them building all of these parts yesterday. It's all infusion, so it's vacuum infusion process for all of the parts up on deck, from the roof structure to pieces like this. What does that do for you? It keeps the center of gravity down and low, and it makes them quite strong. So essentially the hull, it's hand laid because you need the solid thick fiberglass for that, because she's a big heavy boat, needs to bash through some waves. But then when you get above the waterline and you have all of these parts on deck, go away seagulls, this is a new boat, go. And when you have a big structure like this fiberglass roof up here, you don't really want to have too much weight. So if you do vacuum infusion, you can reduce that. Now have a look at the windscreen wipers, completely stainless steel, gonna last a long time, good to see. Next thing, this roof design looks super cool, looks quite tough, ute-y, blokey, and hopefully the ladies like it as well. But pay attention, just get down here and have a look. See this amount of overhang? So when you have the hot midday sun, it's going to be high, when the sun's going to be high at the hottest part of the day. With this overhang, that's going to bathe a lot of this glass in shadows, shading this glass from heating the thing up too much. So it's got a practical element to it as well. Those are the speakers I was talking about. The other practical element, as you make your way around, it's actually a bit of a handhold. So you can stick your hand in here. So you go down this one step just here that I didn't see before, and you can still, even though I'm 5'7", I can still hold on to that. But look at this. The railing, even as I step up to the highest point, it's still at my waist. So quite safe in my opinion. Downlights with stainless steel cowlings. We've got midship cleats. We have two of them, forward and aft. Big boat, makes sense. Sliding window on the starboard side. I'm sorry it's wet, it's been raining. What do we do? And then make our way back. See the design of the roof. This is, you can change the colors here. So you don't have to have this gold. You can have like a gunmetal gray look as well. And there's plenty of options available for you, and including the interiors. But just, I want you to look at this piece here. This is carrying that design down, and when you look at it from far away, it looks super cool, but it's actually a one-way see-through. So you can look out, but nobody can see in. So I like that. Rather than just doing one big piece of fiberglass that would stylistically, is that a word? Anyway, the style would look cool. They've managed to retain the style, but give you some functionality so you can still enjoy the views from outside. I like that. Now, if you're washing the decks down, or if it's raining, the water's going to drain down here, and it's going to be captured by this stainless steel drain here rather than making its way into the cockpit. And also, because of these gunnels and the height, you're not going to get any water going over the side, just from rain and that sort of stuff, causing streaks down the side of your boat. So it's all actually just going to be captured and go in there. Again, simple, practical, I like it. This is going to be engine exhaust fans on both sides. And then, so we've gone down a couple of steps there, and then now we're stepping onto the teak. It does make sense to have teak back here for us Aussies, and people in other countries, you do whatever you like. But this is quite pleasant underfoot. The other thing worth pointing out, the thickness of the teak they use at Riv, it's like 12 mils. So this is going to last ages. Even if you do have to just skim it off every few seasons because it's deteriorated, you've got so much teak, it's going to last ages. It really will. So here on starboard is the first of our 2 wing stations, and we'll cover those in more detail in the test drive. The technology has advanced to a stage now, and this is worth pointing out to you right now, where you can leave the marina, a tight marina as we did this morning. You can put the thing on station hold in wind, and it's not going to move. Like, I was looking at it from the drone, and it held position to within 1 meter, and it allowed one person to tidy up the boat in under 2 minutes. So from leaving the dock to getting into the middle of the marina runway, tidying up all the lines and fenders, 2 minutes, single-handed. This is 65 feet. That's pretty awesome. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. Anyway, so let's just focus on the Barbie. Proper Queensland Barbie, this one. Look at the heat protection with all this stainless. We haven't got some tiny little stainless steel piece just here. They look like lights, 1, 2, 3. So you've got illumination for down on here, somewhere to hold your beers or your coffee cups, hot and cold. This is Corian over fiberglass, and that will drain in there. That looks like a little bin chute, I reckon. And then this looks like a safety, which will turn off the Barbie if you close it and it's still on by accident. I think so, yep. And then your controls are just here. Sorry, I'm walking in front of you there. Fire extinguishers and storage in here. My bags are in there, so I'm not going to open them because it's messy. And wing station number 2 is in this location, just there on port. Boom, boom. And held open with the gas struts. So we'll just go down from port and we'll make our way all the way around because there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. This is I think it's the 15 amp shore power just here, and we've got the tender chocks stored in there temporarily. You can see all your rod holders are properly drained, and we even have little cleats for mounting fenders, and I've also got deck wash fresh water in here as well. And then pay attention to the stainless steel work just in here. So now I'm going to talk about the stainless steel. So yesterday in the factory, leave a comment in the description below if this has happened to you. If you've looked at a boat brochure and you bought a boat and they said 316 stainless, and within 12 months the thing was rusting, I didn't realise what was causing that. Yesterday I found out when I was having a yarn with the blokes making the stainless steel at Riviera. It's to do with the level of polishing, the time and effort that you put into polishing the stainless. Stops all the little tiny scratches, or I should say removes all the little tiny scratches that are in stainless, which captures salt water. So that's what's going on. It might be 316 on the brochure on some other boat, but if they haven't taken the time and the expense to prepare it first in the first place, you're going to retain salt in those little scratches, which then encourages rust. The other thing is the welds. We'll see the welds as we make our way around in some other areas, actually right here. Just come in close and just look how neat those welds are just here. Can you see any bubbles? That's the other thing which captures salt water. So I learnt a lot yesterday. Hopefully it's going to be an interesting video for you guys. But that's why these things last so much longer in our environment, or in any environment for that matter. So anyway, I got distracted. Let's carry on. I'll show you what's in here. This is the drop-down platform operation. We've got a manual bilge pump just here. This is a deck wash. That's a freshwater high pressure one. And there's another one in the bow. The platform itself and the design of all this, so just get all this in shot, it's pretty epic because these railings, they all just store very easily right here. So when you're underway, you'd store them here and you'd have the tender on the back in her chocks, but you can get the tender in the water in literally minutes, and then set this up in party mode. And in terms of your square meters, like you've got so much space. Like this just becomes a wonderful, usable area when people want to be outside operating the barbie. All the smells from the barbie are just going to be wafting out, not going into the boat, and you can utilize this area however you see fit. Because I do believe this SUV category, ute is the way I think of it. It's for some of you water sports guys and girls. You know, if you're into all these foiling electric boards, all these different new water sports that are developing, and they're pretty cool, and you want a platform that's capable and that can go quite far and set you up in a remote location very comfortably, well, this is going to be it. And bring all your mates along because you're going to have space. So, I'm getting distracted. There's too much to show you here. Little storage in here. This will be good for some lines, and you also have your hot and cold swim shower that pulls out, and that's just a twist operation after you've been for a swim. The way to get back in the water, it is through the platform. There is an emergency proper ladder which you can pull out if you're in the drink, or if you fell in the drink and you needed to pull yourself back up. That's actually a real ladder. It's not a rope ladder, so you could actually do it. Otherwise, you board by stepping up on the platform and you're raising yourself that way. This is storage just in here. You can see we've actually put the cover for the tender and the tender straps in here, so that's an ideal location for that. We've got more rope storage here. Pay attention to all the doors themselves have got good seals on them. Over here, more storage again for ropes. We have our other shore power, so that's going to be the bigger shore power, 30 amp I guess. Was it 30 amp? 32 amp, okay. On starboard, and then as you can see everything replicated over there. But now let's get under the floors and I'll show you what's going on. So just stand back there and okay, so this is quite deep. As you can see, we've got a couple of fenders in it right now. You saw the other options for fenders forward, but this is drained, so you could actually operate this as like a kill tank if you're a fisherman. So that's an option. That is thick. Okay, underneath me, just here, is overhead access to the IPS drives. I'm just going to open this one. Oh, okay, and that's additional access into the engine bay forward, but we have two other options to go into the engine bay, and it also can get you into the optional crew cabin because it can be set up. So, you know, if you're the sort of person who wants to crew a vessel, yes, you could do this because you do have an optional crew cabin, but it's also a laundry, a super awesome laundry with a lot of space. So I think most of the Aussies watching, and probably the Americans, would be vibing on that a little bit more. Anyway, a Vera Frigo ice maker. This is like a cutting board that's got some Korean finish into it, and that's your fridge. That's your aft fridge, just there, quite deep. Insulation is inches thick, so that's going to be really good in a tropical environment. So now think of this boat as a real all-rounder in the hot climates, but also in the cold climates. So we have this balcony. It's epic. We can deploy our toys. If you're the waterman or water woman, and that's what you intend on doing in awesome remote locations, this is the boat to do it in. But then when the weather turns, hot or cold, you have options. So come up in here, just check this out. So this is like, I'm gonna have to turn that stereo off anyway. This is like your balcony to enjoy wherever you are, because you have wonderful views aft. That's the one-way glass that I was talking about externally before, and your picture looking out is really quite pleasant. But pay attention, glass, hard plastics just here, and then, because we're in Queensland, we've just got the fly screen. But if you were in the Pacific Northwest, for example, or New Zealand, and you wanted this area to be warmer or protected, or even Sydney winters, to be fair, because it gets pretty chilly, you could do this in plastic. You know, the hard plastic, just like we see in the corners, and then open these doors up and you can have the air conditioning or the heat wafting into this area, and it's going to be like your own sort of, you know, I don't know, summer garden type house or something like that. It's quite pleasant is what I'm trying to say. So, nice, beautiful table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drink holders, wine storage or bucket in the middle, grab handles around, seating for 6 people here. So think about the zones, the flexibility that we've got, and it continues, that theme continues as we make our way through. Just here is one of our fusion controls. We've got mezzanine, or essentially light controls just here, or light switches. I've got some charging, storage for drinks, speakers, and these are your fridge temperature controls on and off just there. And this table that I am sitting at will also drop down. So I assume there's a cushion over this, and you can turn this into a big day bed, but there is another day bed option just over here. So let's talk about that. I've forgotten what's in here. Oh yeah, that's right. Some of the anchor winch breakers just there. Okay, nice and handy. And more storage for knickknacks. But see how this is in one lounge, so you can sort of do this, you can communicate in social mode. If you want to have a nap, this will double in size, fold out, and these, what look like one big cushion, it's actually 2 cushions, so they will just unfold very easily and then create another big day bed just up here, which is quite cool. Underneath me, then this hatch is the second option to enter the engine bay. And I want to point out this whole floor where all the teak is could be removed if you needed to change a motor for some, reason in 30 years time from now. So that's been designed in from the beginning, which is good. Now above me, we have grab rails along the center line. Now, as you can see, I can't reach them. so tall people are going to love this boat. I can reach the other grab handles, and I've got this just here. And if I were in a seaway, I would actually just do that. So you have options. They have thought about that. But I'm just saying tall people are going to be happy on this boat because look at the headroom already. That theme is going to continue. 2 opening hatches overhead. They're electrically operated. And let's appreciate more stainless because it's really great stuff, this is, that gas strut's super strong, so you just undo these 2 handles here and the whole thing will go up, and then you've got this lock just here to keep it open. And then the door, it's a sliding door as you can see, but it's got multiple positions. So I saw you could actually lock it, I think it was there. Anyway, there's positions if you need to just crack the door open and allow a bit of air through. We have some blinds, drop down blinds for privacy, and come on in. It's time to appreciate this interior. There's a lot of wind out there today. So, welcome. How good's this? Your options are many when it comes to the interior soft furnishings, the timber, and the tabletops, and even the floor. So what you're seeing is a satin finish, but you can also do a high gloss, and they actually have their own in-house interior stylist. I think her name is Sarah, and she's the guru when it comes to styling these boats to your personal taste. And it seems like everybody wants to have a consultation with Sarah to get this totally sorted to your needs. And I'm talking right down to all the little cushions and the throw things, and they've thought of everything. You when you get a Riviera, you just fill it up with fuel, bring your personal items, and you're ready to rock and roll, because they've also tested the boat in the ocean before you have. It really is ready to rock and roll. But anyway, let's have a look at the galley and then we'll make our way around. I'm just going to point out all the cutlery and the glassware. It's all Riviera branded. It's all got its own place. You really don't need to bring anything. It's all already done. Same again with all your coffee stuff over here. This is going to be a theme. Once again, all the latches and the hinges and the internal fixtures that they have used are of the highest quality. It is evident as you make your way around these boats. So, 4 burner, Smeg. Okay, I don't know if that's a good one or not, but I assume it is. But just have a look at these. I left these fiddles on deliberately, so if you were in a seaway, you're making a cup of coffee or heating something up, it's not going to slide off. However, we have Humphrey active stabilizers. We have them on 0 speed right now. As you may have noticed, it's quite rough and windy outside. Pay attention to the horizon as we're doing this walkthrough, because she's rock solid. So you don't really need to stress about that, but I'm just saying you have the options. Just under here is a really big bin, and just have a look. It's drained. Somebody's thought of that. How intelligent. So you can just hose it out. Practical. That's good. The dishwasher is here. See these? That's going to stop the dishwasher opening in a seaway. Smart. Underneath, pots and pan storage under here. This is a little bit of pantry. We've got some glasses in there at the moment, but that would be pantry, I would say. Got the oven in here. That's a Smeg oven. The refrigeration is epic. I'll get to that in a second. Underneath here, probably good for cleaning gear. Got the fire extinguisher, twin stainless steel sink. So you've got the filtered water, and this is one of those pull-out thingamajiggies. So if you were just washing pots and pans, you'd probably use this and then put everything else in the dishwasher. And then you've got more storage in here, and you see how you've got some cutting boards, and they even have their place to store when you're in a seaway. You know, they've thought of everything. Drawers, see, once again, it just continues. So that's just got some random items, and we should have the cutlery in there. How good's that? So, the refrigeration, it really is epic, because they're thinking about people like you who want to do serious trips. So we have one fridge, two, I'd say these would be freezers. Okay, oh, damn, do both sides. Okay, I think that's a freezer. Okay, both sides. I got confused because of the fridge. There's more over here. Now this one, just here, I think that's a freezer. Or it could be the fridge. And just a second. No, that's the fridge. So yeah, a lot of refrigeration, considering we also have the ice maker outside, the fridge outside on the starboard side, and the esky up front, which you could load from your ice maker at the back of the boat. So you're really not struggling. TV pops up, I'd say to about this height. I haven't actually operated it myself yet, but seems logical. That's cool. We have the sea zone. So this is just taking the thinking out of boating, and I would suggest if you haven't had a boat before and you're looking at buying something of this size, Riviera is a really great option, because everywhere in the design of the hull, the deck, the interior, they've thought about it, but then they've included that practical thinking into all the systems. So I spoke about the joystick. The sea zone is another one. So we've got cruising, dock unattended, entertaining, sleep mode. So basically, when you're going out for the day, just stick it on cruising. When you're leaving, just stick it on unattended. So what it's going to do, it's going to shut all the systems off, but leave the critical items like the fridges on, so your beers will stay cold for next time you're on the boat. Entertaining, well, it's going to switch everything on. Sleep mode, it's going to switch most of the systems off, but it'll leave one chart plotter on, so you can have your anchor monitoring and all that sort of stuff for safety on and active through the night, so you can sleep peacefully. Just good thinking, sensible, done by people who go boating. So more storage, wine glasses. I like this white against the timber there. It's kind of got a bit of a beachy vibe, is the impression that I get when I'm on board. Little bit of, well, I'd say that's wine bottle and scotch and whiskey storage underneath there. And these countertops here, that's a Corian, so that's going to be quite hard wearing. And they've all got soft close. Did you see that? Boom, boom, soft close. So now here in the middle, another zone. So we've got the bow, we've got our balcony, we've got all the way down the back of the boat and the tender deployment. This is nice, cozy. Just see where I'm sitting from my eye level. I've got views over the water. I'm communicating with whoever is in the galley, and I can also communicate with people at the helm and the other lounge in front. So this is really, really good sort of ergonomics from a socials perspective, but there's more. See this little thing? This pulls out. I guess you could just put that there if you were having a meal, so that's kind of handy. But it also moves. So it's quite heavy, but if you put it over here like this, and then unfold the table, which is hidden behind here, you've got an internal dining station. So we can dine on the balcony, or we can dine inside. So you have the option. And this is quite heavy, and there's some sort of soft material underneath because you can feel it when you're moving it around. It's not going to slide when you're rolling through some waves, and we did just do that in the ocean and it didn't slide. So that's kind of cool. Very, very comfortable seats. The foam is super thick. This is the kind of thing you would just fall asleep on, so no issues there. If you want to do some charging, how do I do this? Hey, I thought it was one of those ones you had to talk to. Hey Siri, give me a power plug. Oh, that's scary. Oh yeah, I don't actually know how to work that. It does something, but it's kind of cool. So the other thing I want to talk about is the practical location of this galley. So many boats that I've been on, they'll mount cooking, not so many, some boats that I've been on, they'll mount cooking facilities and washing up facilities right next to upholstery. So just think about that from a practical nature. That's not going to work. You know, if you're washing up here making mess, you want that mess to go somewhere where it can be controlled. It is in this layout, so that just seems logical to me. This looks like wine chiller, Dometic, just in here, so you get a few bottles in there. That's all quite fancy. And then this would just be technical access, I'd say, because I can feel air flowing right now. So we've got access to the decks, and I do like having this. I know, even though with the joystick it's not super critical because we can just do station hold, I'm still the sort of person that if I have the option to have a side door to exit and go forward, I would prefer that, because just imagine if you've got a bit of a party all congregating in this part of the boat, they might just limit your access, and when seconds count, I would prefer to have this. So that's great. It's a big, solid, ocean-going door, very easy to operate. But let's have a look at this Helm, and I mean it when I say it feels like you're captain of the Starship Enterprise. It feels like that because the boat's big, it's incredibly fast. We did 38.5 knots, but you can cruise in that high 20 knot range very, very easily. And being centrally located at the helm here, you just have this wonderful views, which hopefully you guys can see right now. And you do feel incredibly powerful. But look at the way they have laid this dash out in a like clutterless manner, I would say. This is quite attractive. You know, if we just start at the bottom here, we've got, I don't even know, it looks like aluminium, but it doesn't feel like it. So we have this aluminium look with all the buttons individually done just here, but just carry over to the starboard side. Just look at that, windscreen wipers. So rather than having to search for your windscreen wipers, they're right there at your throttle hand. So from a practical nature, because sometimes you hit waves and sometimes it's raining like it has been today, you can just hit them and it's just very effective. We've got our remote control if you don't want to do the touchscreen on the triple Garmins. We've got a drink holder just here. The textures are very nice. You go from leather to this cross-stitched look, which is just quite attractive. And then we have we're running the 1,000 horsepower Volvo IPS on this one, so that's got the upgraded drives. But this is the throttle position, which is set back from the wheel, so it's comfortable, and the joystick is forward of that. We have variable speed side power thrusters, which you can operate in the traditional manner, but they will also integrate with the station hold. So if you want to hold position, that actually has the capability to fire itself up and assist the boat in those duties. So that's kind of cool. Your ignition just here for the Volvo, start, stop, kind of logical place to put it. Not that you just go back, because I don't think, even if you did have a big belly, you're going to have heaps of space. So the adjusting the wheels not so necessary for that, because you can actually electrically, there's so many options to this. Okay, up, down. Which one's back? Oh, there we go. I'm going to put the seat all the way back, try and give you some perspective, because you big guys keep on asking me how much space you're going to have. So that's all the way back. These are my 5'7" legs. I can't currently touch the footrest. So if you're tall, you're going to have quite a bit of space, and this will lean back as well to create you more space if you've got big long arms as well. So very, very nice. It's an exceptional piece of work, this seat. You can flip up the bolster there if you want to stand and drive. I felt absolutely no need because of the level attitude that this boat assumes and the low heel when you are turning. And I did look at this hull, not this one, there's another one on the factory line, out of the water yesterday, and you can see that it's an inherent part of the hydrodynamics, is the reason why this thing assumes quite a level attitude as you're banking through the turn. So what does that mean? It's going to be comfortable for you and your mates. That's all. I've got a footrest just here, and these seats are mounted. This is you see this in the Audis. What do you call this stuff? Can't remember. But anyway, it's fancy. And leather around the sides, and you'd be putting your feet on these leather, soft padded footrests. So if you were driving for 10 hours, doing say Sydney to Gold Coast, you would be quite comfortable in this seat. Not a problem at all. VHF, this is your Humphrey stabilizers. This is your anchor up down, so the chain counter, we can do it from the bow. Searchlight operation. This is your Volvo Penta display, so that's got all your engine diagnostics. This is your C-zone from the helm. We have the main C-zone display on starboard as we entered the boat. This is your AC control, your air conditioning. This is the Fusion just here, and we saw that other Fusion control out back. We've got a place just to chuck mobile phones. I like that because if you are rolling around, just to be able to throw them in there and know that you're not going to lose them is kind of handy. Charge them just there. And then you've got another drink holder on port for the navigator. AC, which is on right now and quite nice. What's that? I don't know what that is. Oh, that's going to be access to get behind this panel. So if you press this and that's only for electricians. You would be able to hinge this whole thing forward and get to the wiring behind if you needed to do some changes. 1, 2, 3 flat screen, big Garmin displays on an angle that you can see from everywhere. So practical, comfortable, you're not going to be stretching your neck at all. And pay attention to this grey leather forward. So this is not picking up any glares when we're driving. And as I pointed out before, the overhang knocks a lot of those glares out as well when the sun is high and hot in the sky. So we're not finished. There's so much going on. We have sliding windows. So whilst we have the AC, which is great, it's still nice to have natural airflow. In a Sydney winter when it's 22 degrees, you don't really need AC. I'd rather have air flowing through. So we've got that. And for the obligatory, do you have to wave like this? I think you'd have to wave like this on a Riviera of this big. do the Prince Charles wave. And you got the blinds that pop down here. So we have 1, 2 on the starboard side, which we're going to right now. And we also have airflow from the door, but the sunroof. So open sesame. I won't do the whole thing, but you can see the speed. So the sunroof is a solid GRP piece, so that's vacuum infused, so it's lightweight and strong. Well, okay, I have done the whole thing. So that's how far it opens. Now, actually just point the camera back and get a feel for that, guys. So just have a look. See how that brings extra light in, and you can just, it changes the whole vibe. But now we've just got air flowing through the whole boat. I am going to close it though because we've got the AC running and it's a little bit hot in this jacket. So headroom, it's going to be, it feels like 2 meters to me. It's more than that above the sunroof, which is also above the skipper. So if you're an epically tall guy or girl, you're going to have no issues whatsoever. And the roof line pops up, and this would be the lowest part. But here's me standing fully outstretched, so that's got to be 6'5" or something, I guess. So another zone. So think about your boat life right now, guys. So if you've got multiple families, or if you're just one family, and the kids want to hang out somewhere and the adults want to hang out somewhere else, or you're on passage and people want to have their own space because you're on a long journey, or you've decided to have a 3-week adventure, which you really would enjoy on something like this. and I'm going to get into more detail about that as we get down, because we're going to see the laundry. But people could just hang out here and read a book. They can hang out there and chit chat, or they could be out the back and sleep. This is just giving you all these options, which is, I think, what many of you are looking for, because you're probably coming from 45 footers. Books and games, put all your Monopoly games in there. I think that's what you would do. All right, covered all that. Let's go downstairs. So, more practical nature. See the flooring? We've got these grippy things just here so you don't fall head over heel. You've got leather wrapped stainless steel handholds. But as we make our way down, the sides are fabric. That's going to give you peaceful night's sleep in many cases. And we have decent amount of chop running at the moment. So and we also have the generator on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the master, and then we're going to go forward, and you'll see the difference the design makes in choppy water. Hopefully you'll understand my point in a sec. So come in here and just have a look. Have a look at these waves. Can you see that on the camera? Can you see that, guys? So this is not flat water. It's windy, it's choppy. Now, just listen. You can hardly hear it. So the generator is running. These hulls are thick. There's a lot of foam insulation. So if you, the owner, you're in the best part of the boat, because your nights, if you do happen to get a little bit of chop running up through the evening, are going to be quite peaceful. Next thing, this material here on the sides, it's got foam backed. They've actually included studio quality sound insulation in some of the bulkheads. So from here aft, it's got like lead inserts. So they really have thought about sound absorption as you make your way through. Some boats will be a bit echoey, and you'll even hear it in my videos through the camera, but this boat with the carpet in the places that you're going to relax, and then the solid floors in the high traffic areas, and then this material on the walls, it absorbs heaps of sound, which just means nice night's sleep for you. Anyway, this is the master bed. It's huge. It looks like a king size. It's got an inner sprung mattress, and underneath this is the main fuel tank. So they are a strong fiberglass, fire retardant protected, they're very well built. Just look at my video touring the factory. Going to someone who knows more about them than me will give you those details. You can sit up in bed because you can also stand everywhere, big tall people in this cabin. So no issues there. Thick foam and thinner foam. So it's got a bit of angle to it, and your side tables. I'm just going to go over to the port side. There's an option to have, they call it a chaise lounge. I don't even know what that chaise lounge means, but it's like a lounge. But this particular boat has got the 2 seats, but what do you call this? I don't know. It's just good for using your laptop in the morning. But I feel like women would also like to put makeup in here and do that whole thing. So I don't know if it's got a specific name, but it's kind of nice. Because imagine in the morning, there's actually a coffee preparation area in here, which we'll point out in a second. You can stay in this master cabin, make a coffee using your own coffee machine, not exiting into the main part of the boat, and hang out here, enjoy this view while you check your emails. Happy days. Or you could check your emails there and your wife could do her makeup here or whatever. Isn't that nice? Charging, light switches, soft top side here, so it's not going to scratch timber if you're putting phones down, and then drawers 1, 2 just under there, and more drawers underneath here for storage, and more practical surfaces in areas where you're just going to want to throw things down, because you do have a ledge, they're not going to fall off. We have a big flat screen TV here, and then it's wrapped in this darker finish just here, so it looks quite smart. But this was the coffee area that I was just talking about before. You got a little bit of storage just here. You could put an espresso machine just there. You actually have your own little fridge under here, and then a drawer with, you put all your bits and pieces for the coffee there. So isn't that cool? So that's what I was talking about. But I want to go aft. I know I'm sort of doubling around the place here. A massive area to throw things here. Again, practical surface before we get to the timber. Lots and lots of drawers. These ones are deeper, so you can put all of your clothes, so many of your clothes in here, heaps of storage. If you need to hang anything, we're going to get to that. Your throw cushions are probably just going to be able to be thrown up here before you go to bed. So there's a place for everything. Now, if you want to hang your dresses or your jackets, you have a walk-in wardrobe. Check this out. So I can stand in here, it's cool. So we've got a hanging rod here, a removable one here. They are lit, so maybe that's not removable, I'm not sure. But you're gonna get long items here. Oh no, you're gonna get the longer ones here. So your really long items are gonna go here, and your regular jackets and coats are gonna go forward. And I would say this is sensible for shoes. Geez, you're gonna have a lot of shoes here. And then hats. This would be good for hats, I reckon. Hats, fancy hats, shoes, big like dresses, ladies' dresses, his jackets, her jackets. Happy days. But it doesn't finish. You go out there, I'm gonna go in here. This is some laundry. This is awesome. So, for you Europeans who want to have a crewed vessel, this could also be a crew cabin, have a toilet and a bed. I suspect most of the Aussies, and if Americans watching, just comment, if you agree with this. I reckon this might benefit you a little bit more because we have washer, we have dryer, we have a workspace, we've got 240 just there, we've got AC up here, we've got more workspace. This is Korean now, so you've got all of this under here, a big sink, more storage behind here, that's slightly shallow, and then more storage behind this ledge. You could fold all your clothes and do all your towels, or have your dirty washing basket here, and everything can be managed in this area should you need it to be. And you could even set up a washing line in here and then open the engine room access and let the heat in after you've been for a run. We'll go there a little bit later. You've even got more storage in this big locker just here. But I'm going to go forward because you need to see the guest accommodation, because we have 3 decent cabins with 3 toilets. So I'm going to say that again, 3 cabins with 3 toilets, and the option for 4 if you had the crew cabin. So this would be the master's head, just there. Have a look at the Korean finish on the floor, the timber, that carries carries up onto the basin. It's quite fancy. A proper walk-in shower with a teak step on the side, little seating area. It's just lovely. Look at that. You can just tell it's been made to last. And it's a proper wet area that can be maintained long term. See these little opening ports? They are all alarmed. So if you start driving the boat and one of them has been left open, it's going to let you know. Air conditioning control in the master cabin. So we step up into this little foyer area just here. Underneath this opening hatch just here is the 500 litre holding tank, or the black water tank. That's centrally mounted. We'll just go straight to the port side. Now, this is the guest cabin, but it's set up in 2 singles at the moment. But pay attention to these 2 tracks on the floor, and then pay attention to this little area here, which is a decent bin. Again, if you've got phones and things, you can really throw a lot of things in there and they're not going to fall out because you've got a 6-inch lip. You have a drawer underneath, so it's quite handy for a couple of people. You've got your reading lights, you've got your down lights, you've got your TV and your fusion system here, but proper hanging, decent hanging. There's also a hidden switch. Now watch this. This is cool. So those tracks that I pointed out before, an electric motor is bringing this bed together. When it does mate up with the bed on this side, there is actually an infill to turn it into a proper comfortable bed. But check out in the corner, check out. So now we've replicated that little bedside table. Once again, same size, sensible, I love it. It's practical thinking, good stuff. So your head, it feels kind of private, but it also doubles as the day head, because you do come across this foyer area, you open up this door, and then you're into what would be the day head, but it's also semi-private for people in that cabin, because all you're doing is stepping across there, and the VIP and the master have their own. So separate shower. We've got the little teak step again. We've got the satin finish. We've got the Corian. Got this fancy basin here and this nice tap. Storage behind these mirrors as well. Place for your toothbrushes, and air conditioning in all the toilets as well. So they're going to be comfortable. So that's kind of cool. And then let's go forward into the VIP. So onto the carpet again. Just look at this door. See how it's actually been designed to be flush with the wall. So when it's open, they've actually integrated it into this space. I just think that's clever. We've got a little curved feature as we come around, hanging, and then quite a large island queen bed, maybe king, I'm not sure, but it's pretty big. But you can sit up. These are those two deck hatches that I pointed out earlier in the video. So they would be escape, but also ventilation as well. And then we have storage lockers forward and aft, carpet and timber lined. I like that new boat smell. So you could do t-shirts, you know, all your shorts and your swimming stuff in those. So everything's organized. And then you've got more place to organise shoes and bits and pieces on these shelves just here. And behind you, the camera just there, is the hanging for, see, hanging, his and her, just there. So that's kind of cool. And television on this bulkhead, and your own private head with separate shower. So just give me the camera. I'll show you guys the separate shower behind this door. Okay, can you see that? So these are all proper shower doors, so you just operate them like that. And they've got a big, a metal fitting which holds it in place. And they don't go anywhere in a seaway because we've tested it in a seaway. So it doesn't finish. There is actually storage underneath this bed. So I think you just lift it like this on gas struts. So not a bad place for bits and pieces, maybe some life jackets, but you can also get access into the bow thruster from underneath here. You can see we've got strip lighting, which actually bathes downwards when the bed is closed. But underneath, we've got perfect place for blankets, towels, beach towels, as you can see, stored in here. So that's all kind of cool. So, ooh, isn't that lovely? So now, it's not over, guys. The engine room access is epic. So why don't you go back and then that way, and I will take you guys with me into the engine room. Okay, so proper waterproof door here, guys, with the little window so you can see if anyone's in here and you don't knock them out when you open the thing. Underneath me, right here, is access to the main fuel tank. This just hinges up and you've got an access panel just in there for the primary fuel tank. We have two wing tanks on either side. Here's one on port, and it's got a sight gauge just here. Now, if you're doing an oil change, this system makes life very easy for you because you can do engine, gen set, and just pump the oil out, put it on a bucket, and then just put new oil in via this pump. So that's quite sensible, practical. We've got all our chillers just above this port wing tank just here. Extractor fans above that just here. You can see I've got some plumbing going out from various areas, probably in the galley. I've got master vaults, power distribution, and all of our switch panels. This is going to be for the C zone. So if you have a look in here, just come up close, see how everything has actually got fuses and it's all marked. So it's all very sensibly done so you can get down and understand what's going on. Your primary battery switches are all operated from this location just here, and you can see all the fuses, see how everything is marked clearly in English, no problems. You can probably hear right now the Humphreys at work just there next to my left foot. The Raycor fuel filters, dual filters, just up on this forward bulkhead. Got the Fireboy system mounted above, sensibly, professionally done. I want to point out, I've got full headroom all the way to the back of the motors. Okay, I'm 5'7", but I've still got, actually right here, I've actually got this much space above my head. So if you're a big bloke, you could walk around here. And even here, I'm not touching, but if you're any taller than me, you're going to struggle. So that's pretty good, I got to say. This genset is massive. We'll get to that in a second. These are the 1,000 horsepower, so they're the IPS 1350s. Got your raw water pickup just here. And on the center line, we have the batteries for weight distribution. I've got all these hatches open because I just want to point out your options. So this is one way into the engine bay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps down this ladder, and it's massive. It also lets a lot of the hot air out if you've got to come down here and do something, as we have just done. But then you have those 2 other hatches, which I pointed out before, which give you alternate access. Now, you Europeans, if you wanted your crew to enter and exit the boat not via the main cabin, this would be an option. Through here, into that door, straight into the crew cabin. So that's possible. Again, I think that's going to be few and far between because I imagine most people own operating this boat. But you do you. We have water maker down here on the center line. The hydraulics aft of that ladder, that's going to be for the swim platform. And then if we look aft and to port, what we're looking at is one of the 2 fuel tanks. It's not fuel, sorry, water. And you can see the water Jabsco pumps, the accumulator, the little blue cylindrical thing gives you water pressure, basically. And we have another water tank in the same position on the starboard side, so they're equal size, 400 litres each. You got your aft bilge pump rule, that's a 3,700 rule all the way at the back of the boat. We've got mid bilge, forward bilge as well, and you've even got a hose to wash down the engine bay. It's you've got everything in here. Dometic on the starboard side. You've got your genset just here. How many kVA is this one? I can't remember. It's pretty big. I wonder if I can see immediately. I can't. Anyway, it's a big genset. What is it? 27 kilowatts. Okay, there we go. That's a big Jenny. So that's just there. What else can I point out? Your raw water intake for the Jenny is just in front of it, just there. The insulation is epic and thick. Well done. Oh, that's what we need to have a look at. See this ledge just here, guys? Remember how I was saying that the whole floor would remove if you needed to essentially remove a motor? That's what we're looking at here, all the way across to here and aft there. They have designed that in from the beginning. Sensible thought process. Well, guys, I hope that was valuable. I hope you got something out of it. The Riviera 585 SUV. Who is going to benefit the most from this boat? Well, you're going to be the judge of that because it's your boat life, it's not mine. But from my observation, I reckon owner-operators, real water sports enthusiasts, and people with serious boating adventure holidays in mind, and the solo operator, someone who's had probably a Riviera or perhaps another brand of about 40 to 50 feet and felt a little bit nervous to step up to 65 feet because they maybe thought their skill set wasn't ready for it. From what I've learnt today and for what I have observed in the design, the construction, and the layout of this thing, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine. Who's it not suitable for? So if you're really wanting to do the fully crewed boat thing, and you want your crew cabin down aft and away from you, well, it's not down aft, it's just next to the master cabin. It's really, really well insulated. It's studio quality insulation, and you've even got 2 doors between them and you, but it is there. So just consider that. You do you. I personally think many of you watching are going to value the laundry over the crew cabin, but again, you'll be the deciding factor on that one. So yeah, guys, I'm really excited about this. This is the Australian success story in this boat, in my opinion. This size is the new big seller. It's the new exciting size for so many of you because you can operate it just like you did your 45 footers. We're going for a test drive right now. It's rough out there. It's windy. It's raining. It's not ideal conditions. You're invited. So I'm going to pop a link to that video. It's separate to this one up on the screen right now. Click on that. Come for a drive with us. If you think this is a boat worth your attention, then this video coming up next will be worth that attention. Dan Jones is my name. Subscribe, support the Patreon, give us a like if you like this content. You've been watching Dan's Boat Life. See you on the next one, guys.